What's up, guys? Today is all about my lower body workout routine. I'm going to be hitting glutes and quads, and with this first exercise, I will be performing sumo deadlifts. Now, sumo deadlifts just means you're going to take a wider stance than normal. So I'm going to take my feet further than shoulder width apart, toes turned out, and as I drive my hips back, I'm going to bring the barbell straight down to the ground. And as I bring the weight up, I'm thinking about closing in the gap between my elbows and my hips by driving my hips forward. Try not to lift straight up here. You want to think about pushing your hips in. You also want to make sure that your lats are nice and tight. My shoulders are back and down, and that's going to take away unnecessary stress in your upper and lower back. You also want to make sure that your chin is tucked. Keep that cervical spine in line with the rest of your body. Moving on to the second exercise of this superset, I'm going to do a heel lifted hack squat variation. And what this is going to target is my quadriceps. So the first movement was more glute, hamstring dominant. This one here is more quads, but I'm also going to add in a shoulder press because I was really feeling a great workout this week and I wanted to get my heart rate up as much as possible. And I was accomplishing that because struggle bus, I had to take a rest pause to finish out my set. Once I did 4 sets of those 2 movements, I moved on to lateral step-ups. Now, we tend to have most of our movement patterns set in the sagittal plane, which means anything forward motion, say squats, lunging, deadlifting, and even step-ups. So what I like to do is try to incorporate some lateral movements, some frontal plane movements into my workout. And this is going to accomplish that. So I'm set slightly at a diagonal. My foot is not directly on the side of the box, and that is because if I were to do that, my heels would lift up, and I really want to drive the weight through my heels. You see, my kettlebells are not exactly the same weight, and that is because this is an offset load. And what this helps to do is engage your core, because this is going to challenge my stability. So it makes these step-ups very difficult, especially moving in the frontal plane. One other thing I wanted to note about step-ups is I see a lot of people pushing off almost as if they were bouncing off of the floor with their bottom leg. Instead, paralyze that leg as much as you possibly can and just use the foot that is on the box to drive your body weight up. It is way more challenging than it seems, and even if you have to decrease your load, by all means, do it. I supersetted the step-ups with kettlebell swings, and I'm going to save kettlebell swings for another video as far as getting into detail on how to properly perform these. But you don't want to squat with this. You want to drive the weights up through your glutes by hinging your hips back and powerfully standing up. Also, keep your arms close to your body and just let your arms be a chain length to holding the kettlebell. You're not raising it up at all with your arms. Kettlebell swings surely get my heart rate up, so this got me up to 90% of my max heart rate. The next exercise is Bulgarian split squats. These have dramatically changed the shape in my legs and in my glutes. If you haven't been putting these into your routine, I highly recommend you do so. Unilateral movements like this really bring to light any asymmetries that you have. My left leg is actually much weaker than my right, and I don't know why I'm starting here with my right leg. I normally start with my weaker side, and that way I know what amount of reps to do on my other leg. My preference with Bulgarian split squats is to place my back foot slightly behind my front leg. I don't like to be too far out in front of the bench like you see some people do. But as you go down into your lunge, you're going to put your weight back on that back foot. That is going to get you the glute activation. Just going straight down is not going to allow for full range of motion. So as you go down, act as though your body is moving backwards towards the bench. I did not superset anything with Bulgarian split squats because good God almighty, these get my heart rate up. So I performed 4 sets of 8 to 10 reps per side. The next exercise is single leg hip thrusts. I actually was running out of time. My client was already arriving to their session, and so instead of setting up a big barbell to do barbell hip thrusts, I decided to go with a dumbbell and do single leg. And once again, doing a unilateral movement like this is going to bring to light any asymmetries that you have. This time though, I'm starting with my left leg, and that's going to help me determine how many reps to do on my other side. But I just set the dumbbell on my hips, I keep my neck tucked, and that helps to keep a pelvic tuck instead of having your back go into extension. Really helps to provide glute activation, keeping that chin as close to your clavicle as you can. Make sure that your heels stay down on this movement here and that you don't transfer your weight to your toes. Really drive it up through your glutes and hamstrings, and try to pause as good as you can at the top. That extra pause is what's going to really make your glutes burn. I supersetted that with double leg hip thrusts just to keep the burn going, but I performed 4 sets of these movements. I think I did about 8 to 10 reps per side. For these body weight hip thrusts, I performed 20 reps total. The last exercise of this workout is seated abductions. And here I'm leaning forward, and you'll see what I'm going to do next. But for this first variation, I'm going to do 10 reps with a pause as I abduct. And without rest, I'm going to move right into 10 more abductions, but this time I'm going to sit straight up. And these different variations of my sitting position is just going to target different areas of my glutes. And just when you think it's over, it's not. I'm going to lean back, scoop my seat up just a little bit, tuck my hips, and perform 10 more for a total of 30 reps. I love doing this as a burnout at the end of the workout, and I ran out of time, like I said, so I usually do more, but this was it for me today, and it was a good one. I definitely was sore. So try some of these movements out and let me know if you guys have any questions. I'll see you in the next video.